Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, I would prefer to have the at least honors and then, of course, reasonable compensation for my world-class achievements. This isn't my idea of having a good time. But I'm forced in this situation, and I'm forced to present these expose videos to demand my guarantees per our Constitution. And I'm not getting any younger, thus I'm forced to combine the homepage I have for my challenge in the discipline of theology is my Universal Pure Christians, and the challenge of theology. How did we get here? Why are we here? What best to do? Do you see? Combine that with this, why world's greatest. Wouldn't it be a lot better if the truth were known and I would be compensated, absolutely given the honors at least, and some reasonable compensation for my world-class achievements worth billions, not millions. Absolute truth. Like I say, it's not my idea of having a good time of being the victim of Homo Hoover's criminally insane crimes. Let's not try to avoid and sugarcoat. He was the power to have Kennedy assassinated. Assassinated is the polite word you use in the discipline, although it's undisciplined, of political science, called dirty politics by many for many reasons. He's absolutely the power in having Kennedy murdered, and then covered it up by being the investigator and said it was done by this magic bullet. Those are the true facts. Now, for Bobby Kennedy, I was there at the Ambassador Hotel. I was the gentleman who got up and explained that he should debate McCarthy. Why? And that's the program. And then I told him not once, but twice to stick to the safe itinerary. After the victory speech, I says, you will win. Come back. We're waiting at the presidential suite. Bobby, why did you listen to somebody and yet go through the kitchen? What happens in the kitchen? You got cut down. Absolutely true. I've challenged, one of them was this great editor of, I think it was the Washington Post or something. Gave him all kinds of awards. I finally sent telegrams, I think, and emails. I'll pay for a polygraph, lie detector test. They're true facts. He wouldn't even answer. Because if he answered, you acknowledge that he received them. And they'd say, well, how come if you received this, you didn't act, that you're supposed to be this great pillar of letting the public know the truth, that they got all kinds of awards and etc. The New York Times took their public board that you could discuss and argue on publicly, took it off the internet when I kept getting stronger and more noticed. Well, it was coincidence. They decided to, at that time, they stopped having the public argue various issues on their New York Times public debate board. Homo Hoover had control, was more powerful than the president or anybody. He had blackmail ways of having them do what he wanted, and there was a pyramid of power in this country. At the point of the pyramid was Hoover. And I was the ideas man and would circle this top pyramid of power and suggest in various disciplines what was best to do. And he had the power, and it was always faster and higher. And that's how we functioned, believe it or not. Then after me, then I finally said, look, you see, Hoover took and experimented Americans to death. I barely have survived this criminally insane Hoover experimented Americans to death, experimented my brother to death to show me his power. And he was a woman hater. I showed we experimented a woman to death. He was a pedophile. Now they have a museum where they have young boys especially come in to idolize that Homo Hoover, that pedophile. Absolute true facts. Now, I had Doc C PhD company, things at the PhD level or higher. And I have and prefer to put elegant advanced concepts in theoretical mathematical physics. But I'm forced to slug it out to become known for my justice demands. This is in the discipline of jurisprudence. It's an adversarial discipline, not really maybe disciplined as it should be. There's no discipline in political science. It's called dirty politics for many good reasons. About the greatest discipline there is, where it adheres to discipline, is the discipline of theology, the study of all beliefs. And as I've said, and I'll repeat again now, how did we get here? Why are we here? What best to do? That's what I decided in 1975. The science was so politically corrupt and plagiarism, and especially Einstein, enormous hoopla, lies, and exaggerations. Like they have young people say, well, Einstein discovered light. Well, they don't really know what they're talking about. We've had light all through the history of this earth. He didn't even discover the velocity of light, as maybe what the fellow was indicating, of course. No, that was by Romer. Romer, from Galileo, V equals D over T. He kept track of our Earth revolving around the sun. And through C equals D over T, the difference in the time per the distance of our diameter of revolving around the sun, and he came up with 3 times 10 to the 8 meters. That's quite accurate even by today's standards, you see. Well, Einstein then decreed that light is the ultimate universal velocity. Well, this was accepted and talked about until yours truly came along and studied him day and night for 2 years. And I came to the conclusion that in all the references I checked, including the Bible, there's nothing anywhere that says Einstein decrees light to be the ultimate velocity, and that's what it is. You understand? He agreed with yours truly on a one-on-one showdown conference as to who would agree with who and why. And then he took his name off of the Lorentz-Einstein transformation equation, because by that time, 1955, they would call it the Einstein transformation equation. No, it was really Lorentz's. But out of politeness, I would say I was modernizing, not correcting, I was modernizing the Lorentz-Einstein. Then he'd interrupt me and say, no, now he would say that's Lorentz's transformation equation. You see, in science, when you go an increment better than what's being considered the best, when you go an increment better, which is an increment greater than the velocity of light. In your day, Einstein, they're trying to break and then did break the sound barrier. Theoretically, at least, I have broken the light barrier. And he accepted my polite modernization. of the Lorentz transformation equation. X prime equals x minus vt over the square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared. Little c is the velocity of light. And there is phase and group velocity that is greater than the velocity of light. But now they say, well, it doesn't transfer information. The fact there is a wave, the fact there is the crest to crest, you get the enormously rapid staccato of crest to crest in a phase or group crest to crest, where it occurs faster than the velocity of light. I think that's information. He says, well, then I suggested, similar to action at a distance, where there occurs, maybe due to the actual composition of space, our universe. And then came along tachyons. And tachyons is a hypothetical particle, velocity greater than the velocity of light. Theoretically, I have broken the light barrier. And Einstein agreed. He asked me when. And then I said, well, actually right now they're doing experiments in Bern as far as particles getting it to exceed by an increment of the velocity of light, definitely equaling the velocity of light, of course. And like by 1975, I think they will have in a laboratory where they can accelerate a particle at least an increment to break the light barrier, theoretically at least. And he agreed, and then in our discussion, I have a finite particle theory in which it always becomes finer and towards the infinitesimal particle, which then maybe is your fundamental building block in the universe, and with that you can put forward maybe a unified field theory. And we agreed to begin work on a unified field theory. Yours truly, with my bold advanced concepts in theoretical mathematical physics, if you please, and him with his reservoir of math and physics that's being used. Thought it'd be a great combination. And the only thing is, they told him not to work with me. Well, Hoover didn't like him. And he says, I don't care what they say. We will begin work. And I says, fine, thank you. And the day I called to begin working towards a unified field theory, his living secretary was sobbing profusely. She said, well, he died the night before. What a coincidence of somebody Hoover didn't like. You see, I have where Hoover is 10 to a dozen people that died violently by actual gunshots. The Kennedy brothers. Martin Luther King, he was the power behind that. Then the great agent Melvin Purvis supposedly shot himself, according to Hoover, because he was going to take Hoover's place. And his wife said, I know he didn't commit suicide, but Hoover ruled it was a suicide. Of course, Hoover was in charge of the investigation where he said it was this magic bullet that killed Kennedy. Isn't that a true fact? So I would prefer to have a real good, what I call 21st CTMP, in which, especially with notes, you see, I can do all of this without any notes. You can put this on a voice stress analyzer, prove I'm telling the truth. That's what I concentrate on, because I've tried everything, and now the only thing left is then the public opinion. Well, the public, few of them are in mathematical physics, so you have to speak their language. It's just everyday conversation, And I concentrate on the truth. And this is the truth. And I'll